not silent ever.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
like it,
Well,
you know?
I'm gonna if it's okay with you, just kind of bring that up here at the beginning and just talk about it, because I'm telling you, like, when you turn on your camera, I was like, where are you? Because that is, I don't, we don't have that going on over here. We do
For
not.
sure. Yeah. I am on the Osa Peninsula of Costa Rica. So I'm on the west coast of Costa Rica, right on the Pacific Ocean.
Oh my gosh. And wherever you're at, let me just tell you, it's beautiful. Like, it just looks so nice. Like, it just looks nice and happy. And you're over there in your little tank top, living your best life, looking all natural and kissed by the earth. Like, it is,
Indeed, indeed.
it's a
Yeah,
good scene.
it's beautiful. It's rainforest, you know. It's everything that you think about when you think about rainforest. It is all those things. I had monkeys come to my room in the morning and like pee off my roof, like all the things, you know,
All the things. That's
all of
awesome.
them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, welcome you guys to today's eat and greet. Where hopefully in this next hour or so, we're going to give you something that is worth the time you took to show up for. And even if you just showed up for this view, because you're in the United States and it is cold here, I think it is, yes, show it off. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Wow. Wow. And oh my
There's so
gosh,
much that I can't really show you, but like it's yeah,
sure.
it's great.
Well, and so I mean, I feel like we kind of just gotta get into it here, because when I invited you, you were in like a house or an apartment, had your little
Hmm.
tapestries, regular
Right.
United States living. And what happened?
Totally.
What happened? It's just been a couple months and now this. What happened?
Yeah, well, you know, like when we talked about it, it was, you know, like that was like deep pandemic time. And so I was really, you know, I just really I got a little, I got tired. I was really, you know, feeling really imprisoned and just like I've sat in my room and did astrology from my bedroom for, you know, months and months on end. And it was like, it was cool. It was a good time. You know, my astrology practice got strong during that period and all this, but I just like wasn't trying to be there like that. And so, somebody mentioned that there was like an ayahuasca retreat going on in Costa Rica, where it's like legal to do that sort of thing. And I was like, and so somebody invited me to it, and I was like, this seems like a pretty good opportunity. And so I reached out to the person who was doing it, and he wanted somebody to do astrology readings for the people who were there. And so I was like, okay, great, sounds good. Let's do the whole thing. Got the whole thing set up. The plan was that I was going to go there, um, do my little 2 weeks, and then come back. But then,
Woo.
you know, so I was at the same time in Brooklyn. I was getting evicted from my apartment. It was a situation where they had sold the place. Like I was still paying my rent and all this, but like they sold the place. They wanted to like get people out. They wanted to like, you know, move white people in. It was Brooklyn. You know this routine. You know, we've all been through this several times. All of us
Yeah.
who live in New York, at least.
Yeah.
And so so the situation was happening again, and I was just, you know, I was like, I can move somewhere in Brooklyn, but like, you know, like there's no real reason to live in Brooklyn anymore. You know, the whole reason to live there is because you know you get to be surrounded by all this artistic talent. You know, I'm a musician. I'm a bass player and a musician, and that's the part of the funk of Zamboni funk, right?
Of the funk.
Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I played for Funkadelic 2 times.
Oh my God.
Um, and so there, you know, but there was just no reason to really be in Brooklyn anymore. So I was like, already had to leave, and like, you know, so I was just saw all this stuff and was like, man, maybe I should just go to Costa Rica for real, and like, um, and just stay there. And so talked to the person who runs the lodge that I'm now at, and he was like, yeah, you know, we need somebody who like knows how to do some internet marketing and all these kinds of things. So a team arrived. I'm not the only one on the team, but I coordinate the team. I'm the sort of like the manager. I'm also bilingual, so I speak Spanish. That's actually what I went to school for. I have like a degree in Spanish literature, and so but I fluently speak Spanish, and so I'm we've got the marketing team, which is English only, and then we've got the groundskeeping team, which is Spanish only, and then there's me that sort of like goes in between them. And so I still do my astrology practice is unchanged. It still operates via the internet. I still just do the thing via the internet, and then I also manage this hotel at the same time here in the rainforest.
With your tea. Like you're like, oh yeah, Storms, I'm just living in a whole different place in the rainforest with
Right.
my tea and my tank top and astrology. Like,
Indeed, indeed.
oh, that's awesome, man, because I'll tell you what, I've got some clients who have done the same exact thing. They said, yeah, I'm just done. I'm going to go see what else is out there. And that was like
Hmm.
a jump the ocean kind of, let's go see what's out there. So I just have mad love and mad support for what you're doing out there, and
Yeah,
bringing
really.
us.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here and excited to like, excited for what the future holds for me.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's no accident that it sort of happened at the transition of Saturn. So I'm going through some deep Saturn stuff. Like I have Saturn in Capricorn, so I had my Saturn return, and that period was like the time when I decided that I was going to be an astrologer. Tough. I was like, I'm going to be serious about this.
Yeah.
Austin Coppock said um, that Saturn in Capricorn is really about consequences, and consequences can look like crime and punishment, or it can look like credit where credit is due. And
Mhm.
so you can get on the side of credit where credit is due, but you got to do the hard work in order to do that. And I heard that and I was like, okay, I'm going to be like, I'm by the end of Saturn in Capricorn in 2.5 years, I'm going to be a like legit competent astrologer. And so that was the time that I started doing my dailies on Instagram and started, with the idea that I just needed to read some charts. I just need to swing. You know what I mean? Just get this bat out and keep swinging. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And put in the work. And so anyway, Saturn in Capricorn happened, all of my whole Saturn return, all of the tears associated, what this is out here. And then Saturn moved into Aquarius, and so there was this major transition. It happens that I have the moon in Aquarius as well. And so this is another like sort of major Saturn transit, and it coincided with a major change, and a major change in the way that I'm like taking care of myself and feeding myself and my body and all this sort of thing. So this is I see this as like we're doing Saturn in Aquarius now. Here we are, ta-da,
Here
managing
we are.
somebody else's thing. you know
Ta-da. That is dang right. Well, man, okay. Before the monkeys come and take your headphones,
you gotta watch out, they're very mischievous.
yeah, I wanted to have you over because we've talked about electional astrology on this channel, but when you and I were talking about it, you were just so specific in how you do your electional practice. And not only that, that even in your dailies that you put out, you're so specific with talking about what it is, but then also like, what can we do with it? And I wanted to have you over to just tell us about that. Like, how did it become electional for you? What was the call and how are you using it? What are your tips and tricks you've got right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, so when I sort of decided or realized that magic was a real thing, and that astrology was good magic to know stuff by, then that was like a whole mind blowing open kind of moment for me, right? And so I was like, man, I wonder, like, can you do stuff with magic too? Like, you can know stuff with astrology. Can you do stuff?
Mm.
And it turns out that you can. And so well, the way that you use astrology to do stuff is you use astrology to choose what time you begin your project, what time you create your talisman or whatever, right? So at this time, as soon as I had this thought, then Austin Coppock offered a talisman creation class on like Picatrix magic on how to do that. He no longer offers this as a standalone. You have to like take 3 years of his courses before you get to that part. So I lucked out, got in there when
Yeah.
I like immediately, and so the crux of it is that you want to do the thing at the perfect moment. So you choose the perfect moment, and in that perfect moment, anything is possible. You can get all the Jupiter that you want, or you can get all the Venus that you want. Sometimes you want Mars or Saturn too, right? And you can get it, and it's like in this perfect kind of way, right? But what's really important here is that, like, there are recipes in the Picatrix where it sort of tells you what you want the sky to look like, but none of the sky that we have now is going to be the same as the sky they had then. None of this is going to repeat, right? It's only the one time around. And so every time you look at the sky, then that sky is saying something a little bit different than the last time. Like, so if there's a, like, what's a big thing that's going on right now? Saturn squared Uranus, right? So
Right.
the Saturn square Uranus this time is going to look different than Saturn square Uranus did last time because of all of the other context factors, right? The chart just says something different. And so a lot of what you want to do with this kind of craft is you want to look at what is being said by the chart and what kind of potential is contained in this chart, in this moment, in this seed of a moment. What kind of potential is contained, because each moment contains the potential for something unique, right? And so, and you can, and so this is the crux of the whole thing. The whole thing is made or broken by this kind of concept. You can do things at the wrong time and get results that you don't want, right? But that were contained in the chart. You can hurt yourself, for example. I've heard about people who did this kind of magic during an eclipse. And in eclipse, what happens is there's a shadow, right? And so it makes things not visible. And then they like woke up in the morning and they had crust all over their eyes and like couldn't open their eyes properly. Like these kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Like you get the thing that is indicated by the chart. So what I started doing then is I look at a chart. So I started doing this kind of magic at the same time that I started doing my dailies, right? And so I would treat the dailies like an electional chart, and I would look at it and think, okay, what is going on here, and what kind of potential, what seed of potential is contained in the chart of this day. And then I write a little piece about that, and then I try to illustrate it with some art that I found around New York City. Sometimes it like super goes together, and I love those days.
Some days it's like,
And so
it's hard.
yeah, and so then but then so Picatrix magic is very like it's so specific, and you end up waiting years for stuff. You wait years for the super pristine moment, and you like get a super fancy stone, and you get some super fancy incense. You like it's a big production, right? But at the same time, I was also getting into Gordon White and Rune Soup and Chaos Magic and this sort of thing. This is much more like shooting off the hip, like freestyling. We're making it up, Like your boy needs a career. Let's work it out, And so, um, when you're doing that kind of thing, that kind of magic can still be benefited by improved timing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically my practice now is like timing projects. You can time, it doesn't have to be magic. And like, what even is magic, right? To me, magic is like the way that a soul or an anima goes about influencing the world. And you do that by like walking on the earth. You do that by like going to work and doing whatever it is, driving your car or whatever, right? You influence the world this way. And so it's all kind of magic, right?
Right.
But so you don't, but it doesn't have to be like a spell, right? You can plan your wedding or your business launch. Like I launched my Patreon under a very specific election. It was down to the minute. I liked it a lot and launched that in that moment. And these kinds of things. Or you can do your spells, at specific times. You can light the candle. You can do the prayer. You can make a sigil, like all these kinds of things. You can do that. And so I do that for my patrons. I do a whole list of, like, I go through the whole month and
Okay.
list every day. And some days are days to wait, right? Like sometimes there's an eclipse, for example, or anytime, like I don't like the moon on the nodes ever, or the days when the like Mars Saturn squares were super tough. Like those were times when you like maybe should chill a little bit, right?
Hang out for a minute.
So I'm a musician also, and the rests are as important as the notes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I really I put together this document which tells you when to play and when to stop as well.
That's awesome. And that's on your Patreon?
That's on the Patreon. Yeah, that's on the $12 tier.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. So we'll make sure you guys that the Patreon link is down there too. Because if you're looking for these good days, or you're looking to understand how to use this kind of timing, we want you to make sure you got access to that as well. So did you do
Yeah.
Did you do an election to go to Costa Rica?
Well, so that was for a retreat that was like on a date that I had not planned, and so I left under a terrible election. It is what it is. Like I did my best. The trip was a little rough, but honestly, it could have been worse. It took 2 days to get here. It's very remote, this place where I am. So, but it was fine. We're here now. We're in it. Let's go.
Now we're in it. Okay, so this is how you use it. Oh, I want to just give some clarity in case people don't know what the Picatrix is.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because there might be people who haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and most folks probably haven't heard of the Picatrix. Picatrix is a medieval text which was commissioned for King Alfonso X, who was a king of Spain. He was a Moorish king of Spain during like the Moorish rule of that area. So this is a text so it goes back to like 1100 CE or something like that, and it's basically like the big book of astrological magic. It's not the only text on this, but it's kind of the like it's a popular go-to. It was also recently translated by Chris Warnock and John Michael Greer. And by recently, I mean like 20 years ago or something like that. So it's like had a little bit of time, but not that long in the history of this text. It was originally written in Arabic and then translated to Latin. Then they translated the Latin translation into English.
Sure.
And so it's accessible. So you can just like it's $35 on Amazon for the nice one with the illustrations and stuff. So like, and then so it's just like a text that you can go to that contains all the information. It won't teach you astrology. It won't tell you, like, if you don't know astrology already, you'll be lost in technical language. But if you know the technical language already, it'll tell you how to do the election and what sort of there's a lot. It's like a cookbook basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. But if you like, if that's your jam, if you're really at that space of the mix between magic and astrology in this way, that is a thing that needs to become a part of your vocabulary for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. And we've got phenomenal teachers who talk about it, who use it, who teach it, who go through interpretation of it, all of that. So if this is your realm,
totally,
Zamboni is definitely a resource down there in
Costa Rica. I mean, I don't teach the Picatrix.
Sure.
And I don't like that's a pretty serious, like heavy space. So like what I do is like I teach basic electional astrology. You know what I mean? You want the moon to be good, you want the ruler of the rising to be good. That's enough. Like
but you know the people who teach the stuff.
I do know these people. Yeah, for sure. Austin Kopic is one. Nina Griffin. I really love Nina Griffin's channel. It's more concise and sort of like easy to get around than a lot of Austin Kopic's material. And it's super great. She's super accessible. Also, her Patreon is dope. Also, Chris Warnock, who translated Picatrix, he's got a great course on renaissanceastrology.com, I think. All very accessible. Also, he sells talismans. So if you don't want to go through all that, you want to just buy a talisman, he's got them.
Yeah, he's over there just living them out. He's like, I already fixed that for you. Here you go.
Yeah, for sure. In Iowa.
In Iowa.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, electional astrology, we've kind of covered this
Hmm.
a little bit here, but you were given a little bit of what we need to be looking for in terms of setting
Hmm.
up a pretty good election. So, can you throw that at us? I mean, you want the moon to be good. Please, emotion
Right. And so,
shape.
yeah, yeah. And, the moon is, so if if we keep a geocentric model, it's important to keep a geocentric model and not a heliocentric model anytime we're using astrology. So if we remember that the Earth is at the center, then the next thing out is the moon. And so the moon is the closest thing to us and is the thing that sort of like everything else in the universe has to go through the sphere of the moon in order to get to us. And so the moon is often associated with like the manifestation of the thing. Like how does it actually look? How does the birth actually look, right? This is what the moon is associated with. And so we'll always want the moon to be in good condition for any election. If the moon is in bad condition, if the moon is conjunct Mars, if the moon is conjunct Saturn, or in a hard aspect to either of these, um, then you don't want to mess with that. It's just not worth it. Also, maybe the moon in the sixth, moon in the 12th, like you can think about throwing those out. I also really don't like the moon on the nodes. I talked about, for the same reason as the eclipses. So you always want the moon to be in good condition. Ideally, you want the moon to be with a benefic. Ideally, you want the moon to be basically. Ideally, you want the moon to be with Jupiter in Cancer. Like you want the moon in dignity, and you want the moon to be with a benefic who is also in dignity, right?
Right. And the
Or you
most
want the
perfect election.
Exactly. Right. That's our ideal, right? Or the moon with Venus in Taurus, right? Like prime time. That's what we want. And then apart from that, then like, you just want maybe a soft aspect to a benefic, a sextile to Venus or trine to Jupiter or something like this, right? So you want the moon to look good. You always want the moon to look good. And if the moon doesn't look good, it means stop. It means wait. It means don't launch at that time. Even if you like have an email to send or something like that, and you want to be like, you have some kind of contentious situation that you don't want to start a fight about. You want like maybe we can work it out, right? Send that email when the moon is in better condition. Sometimes it's better to wait on that because you can usually wait, a couple of hours and get the moon at least in a different house or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you always want the moon to be in good condition every time. The other one you want to look at is the ruler of the rising. So you want to look at what sign is on the eastern horizon and is rising, is like coming up, is ascending. This is the thing that is emerging out into the world at the same time that your project is also emerging into the world. So this is the thing that sort of represents the self or the thing that is being launched at that time. So you ideally want the rising sign itself to be in good condition, and you want the ruler of the rising to be in good condition. So, so whatever planet rules that sign, you want that planet to be in good condition. I typically would use traditional rulerships in order to do this. So that is to say that Jupiter rules Pisces, Saturn rules Aquarius. What's the other one? There's
Saturn.
another one. Pluto and Scorpio. Right. So Mars rules Scorpio. Right. So that's what I would say. Follow your heart. But these tools that I'm describing here, they go back to Dorotheus, and Dorotheus wrote in like the 3rd century CE or something like that, back long before they had any idea that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto were here. So yeah, that's how I would recommend doing it. Apart from that, you're golden. You know what I mean?
Make
Like,
all of that happen.
yeah, I mean, that's not really that much. It's 2 conditions. Make sure the moon is good, make sure the ruler of the rising is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want some sauce on top, maybe make a benefic angular, right? Maybe get Jupiter rising or Venus on the midheaven or something like this, right? Especially those two. I like also Venus on the descendant, because Venus on the descendant shows like harmony with another, right? So there's teamwork, there's bond here. I like that a lot. The IC kind of doesn't matter that much unless it's a like like family or land election, if you're like going to buy some property or something like that, you want to make sure that the ice is really good, you know. And so that now we're getting into some of the more like complicated stuff, like is it a friendship election? Are you trying to make friends with someone? Maybe the ruler of the 11th should be in good condition, right? Like, you know, you can get super, like you can get into the minutia of it, but basically you always want to make sure the ruler of the rising and the moon are in good condition.
Yeah, if you do those, you're pretty much, it's whatever happens, it'll be done with quite a bit more ease. Now, here's what this is the thing. So this has become part of my little practice lately with the electional. How much weight, if any, do you ever put on the orienting planet?
The orienting planet?
Yeah. Like
I don't even know what that is.
the one that is rising ahead of the sun. So that planet
Uh,
right in front of the sun. And so for me, what I've been playing with, and I don't think I've found it yet, but what I've been playing with is that orienting planet and how much emphasis that is actually putting in that, like that tada of the sun energy of that chart, and then looking at the condition that those energies are in as well. And I'm finding these little pockets where it's like, okay, the sun would not be as loud here, but with the addition of this orienting energy, it's got a little pop and a little flavor. So this election
mm,
could work, which in 2021, let's just be real, we've got to find some space. This is a
sure,
hard
sure.
election year, I think, personally.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah. I
like,
mean, not as hard as last year, but hard for sure.
really, oh my God, I felt like last year's elections, I felt like I zoomed with those. These ones, I'm like, I don't know, do everything in March and then close it down.
Yeah, well, sure, right. I mean, I just like I'm glad to have I'm glad to be able to have the moon in Cancer now. You know, the moon in Cancer was always opposing Saturn, and it was just like you can't, and then squaring Mars for a bunch of that also. And then the other option was the moon in Taurus with Uranus, which is just like not the like nice comforting moon that you want. Like the moon is uncomfortable no matter where she is. Like that was the problem last year, and you don't get any cardinal signs for anything ever. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
like just it was real difficult for me. You know, like there were some keepers in there for sure. You know, I got pretty good at using fixed signs for stuff.
Yeah,
But
I know. That's awesome. Okay, so look, we've got a question from the chat for you. And even though I'm going
mhm.
to make sure it's in there, I just want you to be able to put it out here. But they're asking for your website or your YouTube or where they can find you.
Oh, totally, yeah, yeah. So the website is zambonifunk.com. The basically everything, most of what the content that's coming out is going to either be on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/zambonifunk. That's ZAM like Mary, B like boy, ON like Nancy, IFUN like Nancy, K, Zamboni Funk. So it's going to be on Patreon or it's going to be on Instagram. There's a bunch of free stuff on Instagram. I do dailies, I do weeklies. The weeklies are video forecasts. And then I sometimes like I do fun stuff in the stories sometimes, and like all this kind of stuff. And then there's a bunch of like Costa Rica content going on there as
Ooh.
well.
So I'll be tootling over to stalk you on Instagram for a minute and be like, Costa Rica, what's up?
Yeah, right, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and YouTube is Zamboni Funk Astrology. You know, so the weeklies go there as well. So you'll be able to find the weeklies either on Instagram or on YouTube there.
Okay, good. Well, you're getting all these little hearts in the chat. So I think you're going to have some visitors, which is it's always nice, right? It's nice to share
Word,
space
word.
in our community with people that it's like, oh man, I didn't know you were out there doing something awesome.
Word, yeah. Thanks a lot for you know being awesome here and like letting me soak up some of your awesome shine. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And I see you're snacking over there. What do you got? And by the way, I appreciate that you have food because some people have skimped on us. Have they not, friends? They have.
Indeed, indeed. I knew that you were gonna have something to say about the food, so I made sure to bring something. Um, I so when I moved here to Costa Rica, then I sort of gave up a lot of food sovereignty. Um, you know, there's a team going on here, and so we like it's like a little bit of a like mess hall situation. We all show up at the same time, eat the same food, you know. And so where before I had a lot of like I could do whatever I want, now there's like a bodega that's an hour and a half walk up. And so that's the only thing that I have that's mine that I can really deal with. So what I have is some raisins and some granola, and this is they're together in a bowl, and here we are. Ta-da!
And here we are, ta-da. Yeah, man. But you know what? You're giving up that little bit of food sovereignty for all of that
Mhm.
and for this experience that just, I just really hear you when you say that you were like done. You're like, all
Mm.
right, pack the candles. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's do
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it was just time to. There's just I couldn't do it anymore. I was in Brooklyn and it was just getting so bleak. It just felt so. There's not. It was gross. Like New York is a trashy place in the first place. It's like it's cool because there's culture and all this, but like literal trash everywhere, and everyone in New York knows this. And so to be like imprisoned with all this trash and then to not be able to do anything fun, and all I can like my only way to see people is like Instagram. Like it wasn't the wave, and so I had to get out. And so now I listen to songbirds in the morning at sunrise, and it's a much better way to live.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look full. That's the thing. You look full. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. I don't know if I could
Yeah.
ask for anything better for my fellows than just like the vibe that you've got right now when we're all kind of just in the full space, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, super fortunate, and glad I took a little break from. I was going through a lot there at the end in New York, and so I took a break from my dailies. I had been doing dailies for almost 3 years, and just like couldn't keep doing it, and like had weeklies that I had to do. Was like I'm just trying to move out the country, and I was just like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And then now, so just for the new moon that we just had a couple of days ago, I just started back up on the dailies, and I'm excited to get back in the flow of doing the thing. I got a couple of talks coming up as well, and so like I'm glad to be back in the flow of things, and saying stuff about charts. Like interpreting things.
Yeah, I found that a lot at the end of 2020 that so many astrologers, we were like, we need a pause. Like we just,
Mm.
and things that we had been doing for a very long time literally had to come to a pause. And I felt like it was like the astrologer evaluation. And I think it was the same for everybody on this planet, but in our industry, I could just really see it. Because we're so visible in what we put out because it's online. And it was like, I am on a pause, my books are closed until February. Like it was just so
Mm.
specific that it was
Totally.
like there was so much recharging, I think, that was needed to be able to walk ourselves and others through
Yeah,
2021
totally.
and moving forward for sure.
And like I also got tired of delineating Mars square Saturn. I've been delineating Mars square Saturn for like 7 months now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what else to say about it. I said it. I said the thing already. Like, can we do something else, please?
I know. And then, it's so funny because my other one right now is, what do you think about the age of Aquarius? Are we in it? I'm like, I don't
Oh,
know. I'm hungry.
right.
I'm hungry. Don't do drugs. Don't play in traffic. Like that's where I'm at with it right now. I don't know
Totally.
where we're at. So it's funny though, because we do get tired a little bit, but then it's like, well, where's the amp up so that we're really still beefy over here ourselves and excited to talk about it. But it was neat.
Yeah, I what I when I took that break, I had a good opportunity to sort of reflect on some of the things that I had done. Because at the beginning of the year, like I was hitting. I was like hitting them out of the park. I was like had some really good predictions. During my weekly forecast, I said something about like things are gonna get like extra disruptive to halls of authority, and it's gonna be strangely cute. And then like 2 days later, a bunch of people dressed up in fancy costumes and stormed the Capitol. And it was like, I was hitting those predictions. You know what I mean? I was killing them.
Yeah.
And early in the year, I said a couple of things that were, on the transition from the Earth triplicity, with Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions in Earth signs for 200 years, for the past 200 years, to the air triplicity, for the next 200 years, we're going to have Saturn Jupiter conjunctions in air signs, which includes this first one, which happened in December in Aquarius. And I said some things about that early in the year that were sort of it was like, this is really more of a new year this year than normal. Like we have a true opportunity to start something now that will gain enough inertia by 200 years from now that it feels normal. So we really have an opportunity to generate a new normal now. And I spoke a little bit about. Are you familiar with Robin Wall Kimmerer?
Uh-huh.
She, yeah, Braiding Sweetgrass is this book that she wrote,
Yep.
and yeah, she's great. She is the world's very best. And so she wrote recently an essay called "The Serviceberry." It was published in Emergence magazine, and so in it she talked about the gift economy and the idea of building relationships and an economy of abundance based on gifts and the relationship to others. The idea that we're in this thing together, and so the as I was thinking about like the air triplicity and a more relational way of sort of getting together and thinking together, really like the idea of thinking together and like it being something relational rather than like kind of stacking up coins or stacking up bricks or whatever, like building something solid.
Yeah.
The air, by its nature disperses things, and so anyway, I talked about so I linked to the Robin Wall Kimmerer joint because it's super dope and I highly recommend it for anyone who's interested. But it's the moving toward this more relational understanding and this understanding that mind is a big thing. Maybe more things have mind than we give them credit for. I spoke a little bit about the microbiome as well, and so the idea that viruses and bacteria move around the world and they sort of carry information, and fungi also underneath the earth carry information, and so the idea that the soil itself, the earth, has mind is a nice idea for the earth shift into air triplicity, right? This idea of intelligence being embedded in what had been thought to be solid and inert. And so that's when I'm looking for inspiration for there to like draw on from the burnout that we had before, then like there's I really do see a lot of hope and opportunity in the moment that we have now. And so that's really like what I'm the kind of underlying or foundational motivation for continuing to say things publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, I am much like you. If I did not find that like refuel station it was less of that. I think what was really happening for me is this nodal conversation of why do I believe that? Why do I say that? Why is this the thing? And so it very much so at the end of the year for sure was that reevaluation of, okay, like what's my deal? What is not just my perspective, because I'm very mercurial, I have perspectives on all sorts of things, but it's like in the heart of hearts, where am I in the understanding of the vibe, and then I can give from that, because just I like it, but just the philosophical musings for me right now, that's not my vibe. But I also know people in the tribe who very much so the philosophy of it, man, they're gathering together and having these brilliant conversations. So it was also this delineation for me in that Leo Aquarian energy, understanding that we're coming into heavy Aquarian, that is like, but what's mine? Like I'm just responsible for holding mine and then giving that as fully to the whole as I can, and not trying to be everything for everybody and have the most impressive thing to say. What if I just say the thing? What if I say this thing and let it hit where it hits? So I enjoyed the recharge. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. So do you feel recharged now? Do you feel like ready to like be out here and say your piece again?
I do. Yeah. Well, and then, I mean, I launched a very Uranian blob into the astro waters with a YouTube school. So I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Saturn in the sixth house via transit, learn the hell out of that this year and,
All
create,
right. All right.
create
Put in that work.
put in that work. But you know what? It was so amazing, even just looking back at our timings. And it's like every time I come into a third house perfection year, at the end of it, I have lobbed something huge out in my life that is quite expansive. And I
Mm-hmm.
learn it in that fourth house perspective, but then it's solid. Like it is solid. All of those things that I've built in every single one of those third house perfections is solid in my life today, and most of them are making some kind of value to it, whether it be money or it's still got an informational avenue. So I'm really pumped about that as well, and getting our community to get gushy fingers in that.
Yeah, word. That's a real teacher right there. You know, when the third house perfection year is on point every time, like that's a real teacher. Like
And
do it
Jupiter's
really
in
in it right
Scorpio.
there.
Jupiter's in Scorpio, so it's always some stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jupiter and Scorpio was really good to me. I really liked that. That was 2, 3 years ago now, something like that. It was really on point. You
Yeah,
know, there was a lot of this like sort of poison into medicine sort of situation going on here, and like it's really clever. You know, Jupiter and Scorpio. I like Scorpio placements for being clever, and especially Jupiter is fun. You know, and brings you nice stuff.
sure.
I like that a lot. Hmm.
Yeah, so do I. I know when it was neat, I was having this Jupiter return and I was like, man, I like when it happens anyways, because what I do know about that placement in my embodiment of it is it's like, oh, this is so good. This is so fun. Let's hang out. And then I get you alone and I'm like, what's really going on? Like, what's it? Because we're not going to learn anything if we don't get right down here, you know? So I enjoy
Sure.
that. So I enjoyed that time too. And now just seeing all of it. So, anyways, but yeah, I'm glad you're looking recharged. I'm looking recharged. Hopefully you guys
Hmm.
out there are looking and feeling recharged. They're like talking in the chat and they're like, you're like a whole mood.
Word.
Zamboni is a whole mood. You're right. You're super chill, dude. I like it.
Word. Yeah. I mean, I try. You know, the uh, the hare won the race, but the turtle dug the trip.
Yeah. I like turtles anyways.
Yeah, they just released some baby turtles on the beach recently.
Oh my God. Just okay.
It was the
We gotta
cutest
get
thing
this
I had ever seen in my life. I had never seen something cuter than like 100 baby turtles trying to get to the ocean. Like,
I bet it's like, is
highly
it like,
recommend.
is it this like mixed thing where you're watching them and you're like, oh my God, this is miraculous, this is so cute. But then also like the bigger picture of life kicks in on the back end where you're like, some of y'all aren't gonna make it.
Yeah, most even. Yeah, I think it's like 80% don't or
Oh my
something.
God. See, like this like mixed internal moment. You're like, oh my God, this is so great. Oh
Yeah, and you can kind of see some of the ones that you don't think are gonna make it. Also, like they're going the wrong way.
my God.
You know, you gotta watch this. You know, the jungle is fierce. The jungle is not playing games with you. You know, it's beautiful, and there's some really nice like smells and really like nutritious food, fruits, and all these kinds of things. You know, but it's not a game out here. I went out on a camping trip with the like main guy who runs this place. He's a real mountain man. He knows how to handle his business in the forest. And so I was out there with him, just me and him, and we had a little campfire and do a little singing ceremony or whatever. And and then I'm too tired for everything, right? I don't know how to deal with the rainforest like this. We're like out here trekking through the rainforest. It's dark outside already. Like I'm trying to carry logs. I don't know how to do this. And so I'm done. I'm like knocked out, right? And evidently, while I was asleep, a puma came up and started sniffing around and was like hanging out in our campsite. And so,
No.
um,
Oh my.
yeah, you know, it's very good that I was asleep because it's easy to be still when you sleep, and that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do when the puma show up. So that's that's what I'm saying. This jungle is not out here playing with you. Neither is the ocean. You know, it's a land of extremity. You know.
And I was so mad I didn't get a good parking spot today. Okay, so this is like some perspective.
Word, word. Well, the parking is easy out here. There's a lot of space.
All right, man. Look, we're just at the top of our time and top of our hour, but I am so grateful that you came to spend some time, and I've been looking forward to it. And you are just always
Yeah.
welcome back. I just think you're a neat human, and I enjoy interacting with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've had a great time. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, good. Well, we'll do it. We'll do it again sometime. Puma free, and we'll talk about what
Yeah,
else.
we'll see how I'm living. You know, I cannot promise that I will be Puma free, but I will do my damnedest. I promise that.
If you do an eat and greet with me and a puma comes after you while we're doing it, we're gonna break the internet. Okay, like I'm just
Yeah,
telling you
right.
right now.
Hey, look, you know, you can go viral on my behalf. I'll be dead, but you can have that. That's for you. That that'll be
Zamboni,
for
do
you.
it for the views. Do it for
Hey,
the
look, you
views.
know, I'm not mad at you. Just make sure I get famous before I die.
I love you, man. Thanks so much for coming over and just sharing your perspective with us. And you guys out there, I hope you heard something today that maybe just gave you even a little lift, but also something to put into your technique box. And definitely go check out Zamboni, see what he's got going on. He's putting good stuff out there. And sometimes you just get bored following the same thing. So a little extra perspective and just some vibe is really, really nice. So I'll make sure that the links are in the description box down below, and we will see you guys next week, where we will eat and greet some more and do all of these astro things that we do around here. So thanks again for coming, Zamboni.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, we love you a ton, and we'll see you